Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, I have a confession to make. Over the last week, I decided that I needed a break, and so I boarded the next flight out of the country and I went to Guatemala just to relax and to gain some perspective. And when I was there, I was thinking a lot about economic opportunity. Because in many places in the world, there is no economic opportunity. There is no chance to have a stable job with a stable income and nonetheless be able to enjoy life past the point of just basic survival, past the point of putting food on the table and having a roof over your head. And it got me thinking how in the United States and in many other places around the world, we have economic opportunity. We have the potential to live life beyond just basic survival, putting a roof over our head and food on the table. But when I thought about this a little bit deeper, I realized that the truth is we don't. We don't have these economic opportunities that we think we have because we're unable to see them. We're blinded by abundance, stunted by our lack of financial education, and a slave to our consumerist values. And it's a damn shame because we have so much potential to seek a life beyond just basic survival, but we throw it all away. We waste so much of our resources and so much of our opportunity on our superficial values that steal away from the thing that so many people in this world would risk their entire lives to get: economic opportunity. If we truly understood what we have and the potential we have in life, we would probably live our lives differently. If we were able to see the things that we have that other people don't, we would probably embrace these things a lot more. So in this video, I want to talk about all these economic privileges that we have in life that we just take advantage of. And by understanding them, I hope that it will inspire you to live your life a little bit differently. So let's begin. Number 1, the privilege of being frugal. So last week when I was in Guatemala, I was thinking about how frugality is a subject that only privileged people can understand. And by privileged, I'm not talking about people who have been handed everything in life, but I'm talking about the privilege that so many of us have that we don't even recognize, because the basic argument of frugality is this: be conscious with your money. Don't waste any, and then you'll have more options in your life. If you are able to be frugal in your life, it means in one way or the other that you have some sort of economic privilege in your life. It means you have the ability to take control over your finances. Not everyone in this world has the ability to take control over their finances. For many people in the world, this is how they're forced to treat money. Make a little money by selling candy on the street. Buy some fruits and vegetables in the market. Make a little money by selling food on the street. Contribute to family accommodation. Make a little money cleaning someone's house. Buy jugs of water because the tap water isn't safe to drink. For many people in this world, the ability to take control over their finances is just out of question. They're forced to live in this day-by-day, dollar-by-dollar mentality of make money and spend money the second they get it. But for many of us that do have the economic privilege of having the ability to take control over our finances, we choose not to do it. We don't see the privilege of being frugal and making small decisions that add up to something much bigger and allow you to have options in life, like consciously grocery shopping, which you can save more for your emergency fund, downsize your house and make it easier to pay bills, limit eating out, and have more leisure time. There's a lyric in a Dave Matthews song where he says, "Funny the way it is if you think about it. Somebody's going hungry and someone else is eating out." Frugality is a privilege that not everyone has. It's the ability to take control over your finances, to bring more options over your life, to seek a life that is beyond just basic survival. Number 2, 1,000,001 ways to make money. When I was in Guatemala, I spent a big chunk of my time at this lake called Lake Atilan. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's something like that. But it's a very touristic area. And on the lake, there's a bunch of different villages. And to travel in between these villages, you need to go by boat. And I have spent a lot of time in Latin America, and I understand very well of how the system works. Si hablas así, con un acento gringo, y tienes piel blanco como yo, como un gringo, es muy obvio que no eres del país que estés visitando, y por eso normalmente tienes que pagar más. It's called the gringo tax. So when I was on the lake, waiting for boats, people would come up to me and ask if I needed help finding my boat. But what they were actually doing is they were trying to get me to pay a little bit more because I didn't know the price, and then they could get a little bit of commission from El Capitan. And I don't really mind this. I don't mind paying a little bit more because I understand that in these places, there's not many ways to make money. And sometimes the only way to make money is by ripping people off by 50 cents. I get it. You gotta do what you gotta do because in many places around this world, the only way to make money is by hustling. Many people in this world don't have the option of finding a stable job with a stable income, so they just have to find various ways to hustle, whether that's ripping gringos off to get a 50-cent commission, or selling various items on the street to turn microscopic profits, or singing on the street for tips. Those are the only options to make money, and even getting a small job at McDonald's flipping burgers isn't even attainable. But in the United States and in many places around the world, these ways of hustling don't even exist because there are so many legitimate ways to make money. I argue that there are 1,000,001 ways to make money, even if it's not that much, whether that's through the gig economy, or picking up shifts at a restaurant, or even a salary job. And even though the money doesn't always come easily, and it's not always that much, at least it's something. At least there's the option to make money without doing all this harsh work. At least there's the option, if you lose your job, that eventually, there's the hope that eventually you'll find a new one. Having all these options, these 1,000,001 options to make money, even though it doesn't always come that easily, is this economic privilege that allows you to live your life beyond just basic survival. Number 3, the ability to think more than 5 years in the future. All right, so for my next point, I want to give an example outside of Guatemala. When I was living in Ecuador, I took a lot of buses. I mean, the average day I took 4 different buses because I was living in this massive city. And when I was living there, there were so many Venezuelan people in Ecuador because there's this economic crisis going on in Venezuela right now. And many Venezuelans would make their living by selling candy on the buses. And one thing that I will never forget is when they would do their spiel of selling candy, they would pull out this brick of Venezuelan notes and say, if you buy 4 pieces of candy, I will give you a free Venezuelan note. And they said this because due to hyperinflation, their currency was worthless. This brick of cash of Venezuelan notes they were holding had no value. There was nothing you could do with it. And for many countries, in the long term, money is kind of like ice, where the longer you hold on to it, the smaller it gets. You have to spend it right away on things that hold actual value. And due to this hyperinflation, doing things like saving for retirement or planning to buy a house or preparing just for anything in the future are nearly impossible to do because you can't rely on the currency long term. We often complain about this 7% inflation that we experienced last year in the United States, but that is nothing when you compare it to a country like Venezuela that had 684% inflation in 2021, or even when you think of a country like Argentina that has over 100% inflation every year. Now, this might get some people upset because some people just have very strong opinions on this, but you can bet on the dollar compared to most currencies around the world. Having a stable currency is this insane economic privilege that allows you to think more than just 5 years in the future. It allows you to do things like prepare for retirement, save for a house, or even beat inflation by investing in a low-cost index fund. And when you have a stable currency, you don't have to worry about waking up one day and seeing your entire life savings just disappear. And I'm talking about currency, not investing in the stock market. We often live in a bubble where we don't see how amazing it is to have this stable currency, how it allows you to think long-term in your life, this economic privilege that gives you stability and allows you to live beyond just basic survival. Number 4, a comfortable standard. One message that I'm trying to share in my channel is that you don't need these luxurious things like a big house or a nice car or a bunch of gadgets to live a comfortable life. Because our standard is just extremely comfortable. I mean, even if you think you don't have that much, you probably have a lot more than you think you do. For example, and hopefully it doesn't seem like I'm shitting on some of these countries because they're very nice countries. I love these countries. The differences are just interesting. But in Latin America, one thing that would probably just shock a lot of Americans is when you use the toilet, you can't put the toilet paper in the toilet because if you do, it will clog the toilet. You have to put the toilet paper in a bin next to the toilet. You have to put your dirty toilet paper in a trash can next to the toilet, which is not a big deal. But when you're so used to putting your dirty toilet paper in the toilet and flushing it and forgetting about it, it's kind of weird to put in a trash can. It's kind of nasty because it makes the bathroom smell like poop and it's kind of unsanitary. But as I said, it's not a big deal. But having these little things like putting your toilet paper in the toilet makes life slightly more comfortable. It makes life slightly easier. And we have so many of these comforts that we don't see, like good showers, heating and air conditioning, or even high-speed internet. We often fall for this trap of mindless consumerism, thinking that you need all these luxurious, unnecessary items in order to live a comfortable life. But when you recognize how comfortable the norm, our standard is, then you don't desire any of this crap that you buy from Amazon. You see that our normal standard is so comfortable that we're all just beyond survival anyways. Number 5. Limitless possibilities. As I said in the beginning of this video, we have so many opportunities, but the truth is we don't because we're unable to see them. We're blinded by abundance, stunted by our lack of financial education, and a slave to our consumerist values. I don't know your situation because my audience, I think, is as diverse as it gets. I mean, only 45% of my audience is from the United States. There is no majority age group, and it's about 50-50% male-female. And what I've learned through all the ups and downs of this is the fellas, they come and go, but the ladies, they stay. They're holding out for a hero. And another stat that I have is over 60% are not subscribed. Ladies and gentlemen, I do my part and I expect you to do yours. I don't ever say like or subscribe because I don't like to waste a second. But if I do a good job, for the very least, I expect you to have the energy to click at least one or two of these buttons. But anyways, economic opportunity is this amazing thing to have in life. It allows you to live your life beyond just basic survival, putting food on the table and having a roof over your head. And when you have these economic opportunities, you have to recognize it and use them to live your full potential. Take risks. Hold your life to high standards. Buy a ticket to Guatemala because why the hell not? Be frugal. Don't be a slave to mindless consumerism and live your life to its full potential because you have limitless possibilities. There's more to life than just losing weight, paying off debt, and sitting in traffic. And I challenge you to figure out whatever the hell that is, because if you have economic opportunities in life, you have the responsibility to live life to your fullest potential, beyond survival. And with that, muchas gracias, que tenga un buen día. Video 113, nos vemos, chicos.